Roll call.
Parker.
Here.
Miscelinich.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Zittergruen.
Here.
Jizzle.
Here.
Whittle.
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Okay. If anybody knows that the air quality is not good, you can tell by my voice tonight. Comes quite often at this time. Okay, public comment time. People are welcome to come up and speak to the council on anything that's not on the agenda. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. I ask that you come up to the podium, state your name. Please spell your name also, as Carrie records who speaks. It'll be 3 minutes. Travis will be at the counter, and we'll give a 10-second time when your time is almost up. So, who'd like to go first?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Joshua Rattel Khan, spelled Joshua. Last name spelled Ratel-Khan. And I live on Elm Court here in Decorah. I'm proud to be one of the many Decorah residents asking you to put the separation ordinance, a policy that would protect immigrants' rights and set clear limits on ICE involvement, on a future agenda, and commit to talking openly and officially because this issue deserves daylight. We're living in a time when immigration enforcement is increasingly aggressive and political. The worst abuses may happen at the federal level, but they rely on local infrastructure, our jails, our police, our city systems. This means that we're not powerless. We have a choice. Do we actively support the system, or do we draw a line? The separation ordinance draws that line. It says our city will not be a tool of federal repression. We won't hand over our time, our labor, our data, or our public dollars to help ICE terrorize our neighbors. We won't do our job for them. This is not an attack on the city nor the police. It's about refusing to let them become tools of racial terror. The civil rights movement taught us that neutrality in the face of injustice is not neutrality at all. It's complicity. When local governments stayed silent in the face of segregation or police brutality, they weren't keeping the peace. They were upholding the status quo under the guise of following the law. We're in a similar moment now, and we get to decide who we are. Do we look away and say, that's not our job? Or do we stand up and say, not in our name? We're asking you to take the first step, put the ordinance on the agenda, and open the conversation. Let this community decide what kind of city we want to be. Tonight, you'll hear from others, including parents, educators, workers, and people who believe that this matters. We hope that you'll choose to listen. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lyle Otte, O-T-T-E. I live at 703 Center Avenue, and we have lived in Decorah since 1982. I was a teacher in Postville for 33 years. We moved here after year 11 teaching in Postville. I have a very soft spot in my heart for immigrants, having worked with many while in Postville. We started out when we came to Decorah working with Vietnamese, Hmong, Thai Dam, Lao people in the 70s, and Governor Robert Ray facilitated the settlement of many of those Southeast Asian refugees. We were very proud, and our kids still speak very highly of that as a great time to be working with Lao and other immigrants. I joined the working group of Northeast Iowa Peace and Justice Center soon after the raid by ICE in 2008. Since then, we've worked with Guatemalans. We helped resettle temporarily Guatemalans who were arrested and held in custody with a marker, a finder around their ankle until they could be put on witness stand. We've had very good relations with the police here in Decorah, from Bill Nixon to Dave Smutzler, and currently with Tricia Thiem. We have gotten along very well and done an effective job. I wonder if some of the proposals that are in the separation ordinance are even legal for a local government to do. No matter how distasteful federal and state laws, no matter how much we disapprove of the tactics like ICE is using, local government cannot overrule what has been enacted. So what can we do? We in the community have a strong record caring for immigrants. That must not change. Watching what is happening in other parts of the country, the brutal, inhumane treatment of people by ICE is shameful, and we will not stand for it in our community. We in the Immigration Network have been trained by national and state organizations like Catholic Charities and Lutheran Immigration Services. As a result, we've done workshops teaching people about their rights, what to do if arrested, contacted schools and churches to offer training in emergency services. Together with our friends in the immigrants' rights group, we can continue to do this work. But we see the proposed ordinance as unnecessary. Thanks.
Next. Yes?
Hello. My name is Sarah Brandt. I live on Highland Drive in Decorah, and then last name is spelled B-R-A-N-D-T. I was born and raised in this community. I've gone to school here, chosen to stay here, and become an active community member in ways that I am capable of, invest in its future, and build a life here, which is a big reason why I'm speaking to you here tonight. Like many of my neighbors, many of whom are here tonight, I'm deeply concerned about the rise in anti-immigrant rhetoric and legislation across our country and our state, but then even more urgently, I'm concerned about how those policies might take root here unless we are able to have these important community conversations and turn them into tangible action. That's what this ordinance offers to me, a chance for Decorah to take a stand, to make clear what we value. It gives us a practical, reasonable way to align our local practices with fairness and safety for everyone who calls this place home. A report was just released by Iowa Migrant Movement for Justice that shows that 6 Iowa counties have agreements that allow their jails to detain people for ICE for up to 72 hours. These contracts are not federally required. These are local decisions. This ordinance, to me, can provide the following. First, reducing unnecessary cooperation with ICE unless there's a legal obligation to do so. Secondly, limiting harmful data collection, removing place of birth from jail forms when legally allowed, and making sure that people are given know your rights materials in their language if arrested. Third, it creates oversight and transparency, establishing regular jail tours by oversight bodies, documentation of ICE contact, and reporting of detainers to the city attorney. I understand this feels like a big step, especially in the current climate, but it's not radical. It's taking an actionable step towards progress at a time when so many are asking, what now? And if not now, when? I don't want to wait until it's too late to begin having these conversations. This reflects what I know Decorah is, a place where people are treated with dignity, where we don't let fear drive policy, and where we protect each other. Which is why I am asking you, our elected officials, to reflect that spirit, hearing what our community is calling for, helping build a future in concrete ways where everyone, regardless of where they come from, are ensured to be safe and welcomed here. Putting this on the agenda for discussion is just a first step, and I just ask that you please consider taking it.
Next.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Eide, Gabriel Eide. Hello, counselors. Thank you for taking my taking time to hear my public comment tonight.
Gabriel, address, please.
Oh, yes, sorry. I live on North Street in Ward 4. I'm a Decorah resident, a lifelong Iowan, and a proud descendant of Norwegian immigrants. I do not know how it feels to be persecuted by the current unconstitutional and immoral practices of federal immigration organizations, but I do know that if my particular heritage was being targeted right now, I would pray for my friends, my family, my neighbors, my city councilor, law enforcement, to stand up and to publicly oppose the injustice. We come to you this evening seeking collaboration to address this issue that harms public safety, erodes trust in our social support systems, our legal systems, and creates an atmosphere of fear in our community. Collaboration is a key word in this conversation. Real action to create positive change will require collaboration between many local stakeholders. I thank the folks that have done long-standing work advocating for immigrants and caring for them in our community. That's critical work, and I hope that the City Council continues to find ways to support them. We do need input and buy-in from the community, from City Council, from our city attorney, and from law enforcement, as well as many folks invested in the well-being of Decorah residents and our immigrant community. We present this separation ordinance as a working document and expect that it will go through changes as it moves through our legal process. The current draft is a framework that has passed legal scrutiny in other communities, and we understand that it needs to conform to local, state, and federal laws while also representing the values of Decorah. I encourage you to be resourceful, to be determined, to be motivated by your community calling for action, and to believe that you have the power to create positive change. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that if there's anyone in the group that has anything to add to whatever the last people offered, to come up and speak now.
It's always tough being vertically challenged. Hello, my name is
always
Lyra.
adjustable.
My name is Lyra McKnight, Lyra MC capital KNIGHT. I live in apartment 706 Maiden Lane. I hear a lot of people today trying to convince you not only to start the discussion, but to tell you where it's going. I want you to start the discussion, but I want it to be a discussion. I want everybody to think for themselves. I want you to problem solve for yourselves without listening to the politics behind whatever is going on at whatever level is going on. That's what I would like you to do. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marianne Fant, spelled M-A-R-I-A-N-N, last name Fant, F-A-N-T. I live on Elm Court in Decorah. I'm a teacher at NICC, and I'm also the daughter of an immigrant. As others have voiced, I have been horrified at the complete disregard for due process under the guise of cracking down on illegal immigrants. I can't imagine the fear that so many families like mine are facing right now, having to ask, will my mother be safe? If she gets pulled over for speeding, will she still come home? Thankfully, my mother has been a citizen for over 2 decades now, so I'm lucky not to have to be asking those questions today, but others are. And I want the people of Decorah to know that they have rights and that the gaps in those rights will not be taken advantage of by ICE. And from what I've seen and from what we've all seen with what happened with Sheriff Marks, I think that our local police care about upholding the Constitution, which includes due process. And I see this ordinance as making that commitment, a shared commitment, crystal clear. Now, I'm not a lawmaker, I'm not an elected official, so I'd like to ask all of you, like others have said, to carefully and creatively consider this proposed ordinance and discuss what parts make sense and what parts might need to be changed. All I know is that we are in a world where due process is being ignored so much. And so it's time to get creative and be prepared right here in Decorah right now. So I ask that you please put this on your agenda so that you can do just that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amy Ravello. My name is spelled R-O-V-E-L-O.
Could you say that
And
slower, please?
One more time?
Could you say it into the microphone and then say it slower for the person who's writing the names down?
R-O-V-E-L-O. And I live at 1771 Old Stage Road. I'm here to urgently ask you to make time to discuss this ordinance and prioritize it. Because Decorah would not be alone in this decision. The Center for Immigration Studies reports that 206 cities and counties and 12 states have laws, ordinances, regulations, policies, and other practices that prevent unnecessary cooperation with immigration enforcement and shield from ICE people that have not received due process, either by, one, refusing ICE detainer requests, which, for those who do not know, a detainer is a primary tool used by ICE to gain custody of immigrants for deportation. As a reminder, detainer requests are just that, requests, not requirements. And they ask local jails to hold immigrant arrestees until ICE can arrive to pick them up. And these extended stays tend to overwhelm local jail capacities and staff, in addition to spending local taxpayer dollars to fund these extended stays and the collection of information on immigrants. 2, making detainer acceptance conditional based on terms that our city council and community agrees with. 3, denying ICE access to interview incarcerated immigrants. And 4, prohibiting communication or information exchanges between local police personnel and federal immigration officers. Again, these communications divert local officers' time and staffing away from serious and violent crimes that are of higher priority to the local community safety. Additionally, as various news outlets have documented, several U.S. citizens and documented immigrants have been detained and arrested by ICE in the recent months as a byproduct of new Department of Homeland Security policy that amounts to racial profiling. I urge you to protect the people of Decorah with immigrant heritage from being put at risk of racial profiling, and the immigrant community who, based on evidence from various cases around the nation, will likely not be afforded due process by ICE. These states and cities include Atlanta, Georgia, Louisville, Kentucky, New Orleans, Louisiana, Baltimore, Maryland, Hyattsville, Maryland, Rockville, Maryland, Lansing, Michigan, Las Cruces, New Mexico, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Albany, New York, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, York, Pennsylvania, Alexandria, Virginia, Ashland, Virginia, Bedford, Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, and Chesapeake, Virginia, among many others. And 12 states,
10
which
seconds.
include California, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, and Washington. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate the comments that have come thus far, and I'm going to ask if there's anybody else who wants to approach the council on anything other than the subject that we have just talked about.
How about a different viewpoint?
I'll take one more.
My name is Jean Daywitt, Jean Daywitt, from Ward 3, 1503 Division Street. I work with 5-year-olds, so these are my notes. I am an educator, and I'm starting my 78th, for God's sakes. I'm a little nervous. 38th year in education. I'm my 38th year of being a member of the city. I actually love this town. 6 years ago, while I was teaching in Cresco, a young man suddenly appeared in our school. He was from Nicaragua. The name slips me right now. But he had been living at home with his grandmother. His mother was already currently in Ridgeway working on a farm. He turned 14 and the military surrounded his house. So he fled north. He got caught, did his time at some buildings or whatever, but he finally made it up to Cresco. And it was a team-taught math class, so I was working with him one-on-one with Google Translate. Come to find out, he was 14, had never stepped foot in a school for fear from the government army. So he was up here to learn. Every night I spent almost 3 hours thinking, okay, how do you teach addition and then carrying? So I had to think back all those steps. 3 hours. I would do the lesson plans, translate it through Google Translate. He would suck it up in 30 minutes. This child came here to learn and to work. He fled in fear. I currently work at John Klein with 5-year-olds, and in the past 2 years, we've had so many families recently show up right before school, and the 5-year-olds I work with, they are scared to death. They don't speak English. They're afraid their mom won't show up after work to pick them up. I have made it my point to learn enough Spanish to help these children to not be so afraid. So I would plead with the board and the county people and the city people to just have this discussion about this. See what we can do to make them feel a little bit safer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, council reports. City manager, let's do city manager. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Please proceed. I apologize.
Oh, no, thank you. My name is Harlan Satrom, Harlan, last name Satrom. I live at 402 Upper Broadway since 1987, and I appreciate very much the chance to speak with you for a minute. I really want to say thank you to this council and to the bidders who most recently submitted bids on the project for the Dalen Addition development. I appreciate the fact that there was a bid and people thought it should be rebid, and it was done, and I totally thank you because that's resulting in significant savings to our community, and so thank you for that process. In the bidding process, there's baseball things going on and there's pickleball things going on, and so none of them are simple. They're all a little bit complicated, but even in the new bid and the alternates that are there may be some chances to save some money, as I've been told by people that seem to know. So I'm not sure what direction you're taking tonight, but I would simply ask that, I heard that maybe you were going to approve the alts and then give the fundraising team 2 weeks to raise more money. And I'm on part of that fundraising team, and so recently things have gone very well. Ever since you all decided to build 8 courts rather than 4, the money's been coming in pretty regularly, so I appreciate that. And so basically, though, there's questions about concrete versus asphalt. The spec that was, the alternate spec for concrete is a fairly significant amount more than anything else, but there may be some solutions for that we're pursuing. So all I would simply ask is that you take no action to approve any alts unless you include concrete. And if you just took 2 weeks to say, we're going to approve the alts, and then have an update on the fundraiser, that's simply my request. I would just ask that you don't exclude a concrete alt until we've had time to put together a further study. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I can see clearly that there is more conversation that will most likely be coming forward on the first subject, and thus I'm going to move on to city manager's report. I think we're going to go on with the meeting that we have at hand. Thank you.
Your constituents spent a lot of time making sure their perspectives were heard from different angles, and I think that you should let them speak tonight.
I understand that piece, and I think there will most likely be other times to speak to, but I'm going to go on with the meeting. Travis?
Only thing I have to report on is I'll be setting up times to meet with our local legislators on the upcoming legislative session. I know it's only August, and it sounds like January is a far time off, but you know, when you need to make that phone call during the legislative session, you'd like to have some earlier discussions prior to, and not just be one of, you know, maybe 200, 300 messages that they receive to reach back out. So I'll be setting those up in the near future. So let me know your thoughts if there's anything that you want me to be cognizant of when we have those discussions. That's the main thing I have to report.
Gary?
Just wanted to remind everybody that this fall there will be 4 seats up on the council. The mayor's seat, 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, and at-large. All candidates will file their paperwork at the Winneshiek County Auditor's Office, and that is between August 25th and September 18th. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that.
Thank you.
And if I may, Mayor, add along those lines, I offer this every year. Anybody that's interested in municipal government as a whole, I'm willing to meet with anyone that wants to talk about city council, mayor role, what that looks like. So if anyone's interested in seeking that out or just wants to inquire about it, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Parker?
I do not have anything at this time, Mayor.
Ms. Lineage?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Olson?
The only thing I wanted to say was I did attend Nordic Fest. Seemed like we had a good crowd for it. I know I ate my way through town at least once or twice, so I did my part to spend my money in town during that time. So appreciate everybody that did all the hard work for Nordic Fest and brought all the people to town and all the activities they had going on. Thanks.
I am a part of the Transportation Policy Board, which meets with Upper Explorerland, and we just met. There were 2 items that I wanted to bring back. One of them is just a notification, a reminder for the hands-free driving. It's sort of a freebie from now until January 1st. After January 1st, the fine for using your telephone via your hand will be $250. The other thing I wanted to note too, that the DOT is planning on putting intersection warning signs at the Madison and 52 road, as there's been 5 crashes in the last 5 years. As you know, you get to that point where you're looking to your right. It's very hard to see what's coming over the corner, so I was happy to hear that at least they were doing something proactive in that corner.
Are they going to do more, or do they need more data?
I did not hear what all they were doing, so. Okay, Zittergren.
Thanks, Mayor. 2 things. I happened to have an occasion to talk to a member of the public today who told me that with her spouse, she'd like to listen to council meetings on Zoom. And I'm not here to judge other people's hobbies. However, I do think that we should make it possible for them to do so well and stay informed. I know that's a goal of everyone at this table. And she expressed to me that there are people who are better at speaking into the microphone and people who aren't. In a past life, I spent a lot of time speaking into a microphone, and so I hate to this may be patronizing, but this is how it should sound. It should sound really loud to you, or you're not doing it right. And if you can't hear yourself really loud, the public can't hear you at all. That's a comment that she wasn't naming names at all, but I do think we owe it to the public to be audible. And so, you know, the mayor has done a great job of trying to remind us and encourage staff when they are pitching in to speak into a microphone. But I think the stakes actually are high in terms of civic engagement. And so I hope you all take speaking audibly in a way that is, you know, hearable for most members of the audience to be a basic requirement of this job. And it's something I'm going to try to do better. And I just want to encourage my fellow council members to join me in that effort. My second thought is just to second thing I wanted to say is we can't as a council talk about things that aren't on the agenda because of Iowa open meetings laws. But I do want to thank everyone who came tonight to speak to this important issue, and those who don't have the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to remind that I read every single thing that is sent to me by email, and I welcome phone calls, and I always welcome learning from people about their perspectives. And I know I'm not alone in that either. So really grateful for your participation and grateful for your attempts to advocate for things that you believe strongly in. This is important work that that we're doing here together, and I'm grateful for you being here.
I will make note that I talked to Chopper, and Chopper has put up the volume somewhat. We can't get too much because you get too much feedback, but hopefully that will help as well. Thank you. Randy?
I have nothing this evening, Mayor.
Cody?
I also just want to acknowledge and appreciate this community for, it's not easy to stand up and speak in front of so many people and everyone that showed up. It's just, it shows how much our community cares, and whether it was speaking for one side of the proposition or another, it's because people care so much about people they know, people they don't know. It's the best thing about living in this town. So I appreciate everybody that came out. Also, what Steve said, I read every email, so send in stuff. Thank you.
Emily?
Yeah, I will echo Steve Zittigren's comments about our appreciation for the crowd being here tonight and our inability to engage in dialogue in this way. I don't know if you were showing up hoping that, but this is public comment. If it's not on our agenda, we can't discuss it. That said, I do believe for something like this, community discussions are great, and every one of us are available by email, and I think very happy to sit down and have conversations. This is an important issue, one we care about, and one that shouldn't be taken lightly, but also is often something we have to think deeply about because there are repercussions we might not be thinking of. So I encourage anyone who wants to reach out to me. It does take me a little longer this week to write back. I know I've gotten letters from some of you, and I will do that eventually. Then my other question, my other funny comment is honestly, Steve said speak louder, and I see Lyle, and I know I should speak slower. So I will. You just need to sit there, Lyle, so that I speak slower. Thanks everyone who worked on Nordic Fest and all of our public safety folks and city folks who got ready for the tremendous event. And thank you to the weather creators for a lovely weekend. It was great to see everybody, and although I didn't get to do as much or eat as much as I wanted, it was a great event. So thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Also, my shout out to Nordic Fest too. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, consent agenda.
For those on Zoom, I'm just waiting for the crowd is clearing out.
Story of my life.
All right. Item A, minutes of the July 21st, 2025 council meeting. B, claims. C, pay application number 1 for the Decorah 2025 Carlson Park Gateway Trail Project. D, pay application number 1 for the water meter replacement project. E, pay application number 3 for the Decorah 2025 Highway Street Improvements Project. F, amendment Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service, Winneshiek County Agricultural Association. G, renewal Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service, living quarters, catering, Rubaiyat. H, renewal Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service, Skyline Lanes LLC. And I, renewal Class E retail alcohol license, Walmart Supercenter number 913.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Olson, approved by Ms. Linich. Second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Olson?
Aye.
Misselinich?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Zittergruen?
Aye.
Jizzle?
Aye.
Whittle?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Motion carried. Conduct public hearing on proposed plans, specifications, form on contract, estimated cost, and award Decorah Athletic Complex project Can you give a background, please?
Sure. So I'll give background for both items 6 and 7. 6 is the public hearing. 7 is a potential actionable item for council. We'll have a further background as we get to number 7 as well, though. So public hearing was set at the July 7th meeting. Public hearings required by Iowa Code for a project with estimated cost above $206,000. Proposed project includes construction of ball fields, pickleball courts, parking lot, and other general site improvements, including landscaping, utilities, the infiltration basin, and overall site restoration. No written comments or objections have been received at this time. The proposed base project for the construction includes 2 280-foot ball diamonds, 8 pickleball courts, fencing, paving, landscaping, grading, all the stormwater practices I mentioned prior. City received 3 bids this time from the lowest, with the lowest being from Skyline Construction Inc. for $2,097,727.33, which is $575,681.99, or 21.5% below engineer's estimate. If all alternates were to be awarded, the total project cost would be $2,841,006.08, or $393,797.27, or 12.2% below the engineer's estimate for all alternates being awarded. Excuse me. The resolution prepared awards the contract to Skyline Construction, and staff and Park Board of Commissioners are both recommending award, but further recommend that we table the agenda item tonight and consider the award at the August 18th meeting. This will allow the public 2 more weeks to fundraise, knowing that several alternates could be awarded, that they are well within striking distance with a little bit more funding. So the Park Board of Commissioners has recommended attempting to construct with alternates 1, 2, and 3. Again, postponing 2 weeks to try and get that funding lined up.
That being said, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this item?
Hi, I'm Kevin Lee, 2526 173rd Avenue in Decorah, or I live in Freeport. The only question I might have is there an option for permeable paving? Something of permeable materials. It's very apparent that hard surfaces increase the outflow of rainwaters and increase flooding, being it's in a flood plain, most of it anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak?
My name is Brian Nickel. I live on 1846 Canoe Valley Road, Decorah, Iowa. It's Nikkel. Just a follow-up question to maybe what Travis said. Does that mean that it would just essentially all get tabled, or some things will get approved tonight and then try to fundraise from there? I also serve on the fundraising committee as well. And then my other follow-up question would be, if there was some savings found inside that bid and it was awarded tonight, would we be too late and not be able to change that bid at all to potentially save even more money, which allows more money to continue on with some of the alternates, specifically going to 3 fields rather than only getting 2 done, or even creating another alternate, because fundraising goes extremely well over the next 2 weeks and people are extremely motivated, as what has been happening. So those are my questions.
Okay. I'm going to have you make note of those, and after I close, you can answer.
Yep.
Anybody else who wishes to speak to this item? Is this similar to the first time you spoke?
It's actually kind of an update on fundraising. So
that'd be great.
What the fundraising team has been hearing is that we need to raise money so that it can be spent, and that's true. We also know that you have to have a plan that people get really excited about so that we can fundraise. And so literally we're over $600,000 of fundraising. I know specifically of another $575,000 that we're working on. And then Stephanie Fromm sent a very nice update on the different places that she's pursued So I don't think fundraising is actually your issue. I think the real issue is determining what would be the best facility to have out there for everybody concerned, baseball, pickleball, whatever, and then trust the fundraising team to get it done.
Thank you. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Consider resolution on proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, estimated costs, and award Decorah Athletic Complex project. Starting, can you answer the questions from those that put them forth during the public meeting?
Yes. So I heard two questions in there, one from Kevin. So while permeable pavers themselves cannot be added as part of this project, the parking lot itself does not include, it's gravel, it's not asphalt or concrete at this point. Even the asphalt and concrete taken into consideration, when you compare that to the stormwater runoff coefficient of row crop, the infiltration basin designed on the north side has enough capacity to hold a 100-year rainfall event. So the basin itself will hold, not just even, you have 72-hour drainage that 100-year basin will empty in the design, but even if at the initial rainfall event, it'll hold all of 100-year rainfall within that basin. So there's a lot of considerations made on Freeport residents downstream from this site, and that's the chief design element there. And it's on the north side, so again, it will catch everything as it sheets to the river. The second question was on the potential to reverse engineers items out of it. You do have to award a contract before you can reverse engineer items out of a project overall. However, the recommendation at this time is to table any award at this point until 2 weeks from now to give additional time to secure funding, and then award, and then we can have conversations leading up to that time about potential avenues to reverse engineer some stuff out. So we should we so choose, but that's done after contract award as well.
Did you give an update on the Park and Rec discussion?
Mm-hmm. So the Park Board of Commissioners met Thursday after bid letting to talk on the project as well. Like I said, they are recommending award with those first three alternates. I number them, but for those that don't have the background packet, the first three alternates include
sod.
What's that?
Sod.
Oh yeah, sod for one of the baseball fields or softball fields. So that way it would allow for one field to be ready come spring, because as the school starts their project this winter, we're not going to have a ball field with an outfield fence greater than 200 feet in Decorah. Another alternate includes the additional third diamond, and the third alternate was the batting cage. And Park Board's recommendation of order of preference was sod, ball field, batting cage.
And that vote was unanimous, correct?
Correct.
I make a recommendation that we table the award of contract from 2 weeks from tonight.
Second.
Motion was made by Neil to table until August 18th, I think it is, and seconded by Olson.
Mayor, I'd like to speak in support of that motion to table. I am grateful to staff for their recommendation here. I'm tremendously grateful to the wider community for the great response to fundraising that we've had over the past few weeks. Tremendously grateful to the fundraising team that have shown some really good investments in our community coming our way, to people who've opened their wallets and their hearts to invest in the future recreation in Decorah for our children and so many other members of the community that lives here and around us. So I'm really grateful that we're here. I mean, I feel like there should be balloons and confetti, and we're all like, I moved a table, I'm very sad. You know, like, this is exciting, and I hope that you all are feeling appropriately excited about the fact that we got, and I want to say one more thing. I'm grateful to the companies who gave us competitive bids and put us in a position to make decisions about how to best steward private and public dollars to accomplish shared goals for our community and our wider community, our whole county, really. I'm grateful for all of this, and I think we should be celebrating that now, every dollar that comes in from now on makes a great thing even better. And that's a message I hope we can all take out into the community, that this fundraising, this period, this window that we're walking into, is a chance to make a really great project even stronger. And the price tags are right there, and I hope that we all do our part to get the information out to the community so they can decide. It's important to me that we not shut down our ball diamonds for a whole year. Let's invest in that sod so that we can have recreational facilities next year. It's important to me that we not just build 2 ball fields when, if we all come together and raise money, we can do 3. It's important to me that we do these things as well as possible. This is the week where those things happen, these next 2 weeks. So I hope the community answers the phone if Harlan calls. And I hope you're all ready to think carefully about ways that we can make this really good thing better. Thank you.
If I might add, Mayor, one of the things that I know fundraising team has said in the past is, it's hard for people to give to a project that they don't know necessarily is going to move forward. I know I believe it to be the general consensus up here from the council, but if the council can verbalize that, yes, we plan on awarding this project, we want to take this time to make this project even better, as Stephen much more eloquently put it than I ever can, I think that would certainly help the fundraising effort by hearing the overall position of the council.
Steve's on fire tonight. Can't we just all?
Well, I'll go on record and say you all know that I've always been after the 4 diamonds because I'm a retired softball player and baseball. Got grandkids playing both sports right now, so I would go for the 4, but I would be fully in support of going after the 3. So let's give them the 2 weeks and let's make this happen sooner than later.
I'll echo what Steve said. I want to tip my hat to Mark and the Park Rec Board, Travis, the whole staff. Harlan, you guys have done a tremendous job over the last few months raising this money. And to give you guys 2 more weeks to get this thing done, I think is a great, sentiment to how hard you guys have worked and how hard the people in Decorah have come together to make this thing happen. So, I'm in support of getting as much done as we possibly can in this project and making this thing happen.
I would also like to echo the sentiments that have already been said. The amount of work that has been put in, not only by staff, but fundraising committee has been immense, and it shows the dedication not only to this project, but the greater community as a whole. So I'm all forward and in support.
As for me, I'm 100% yes vote for this, so I look forward to seeing it on the agenda on the 18th.
I heard Steve say he was going to bring confetti, so if anybody wants to bring treats on the 18th, that would be great. I'm 100% on board with this, and yes, hats off to the city staff and the fundraising committee and everyone in the Decorah community who has supported this project and will continue to support this project. Thank you. I also want to thank the gentleman from Freeport, and it's always great to have people come so they can get clarification of, there was a great deal of thought put into the project in regards to Freeport, and we want it to be a partnership in that manner. So please always feel free to ask questions at meetings. I love that. So thank you for being here.
I said earlier tonight that the...
Could you put your microphone closer to you, please?
I said earlier...
Thank you.
It should be loud, right?
Yep, that's right.
I said earlier tonight that the best thing about this town is how much it cares, and one of the second or third best things about this town is how active it is, and I like the fact that there's gonna hopefully be another opportunity for more active. I encourage people to give to this project, and we'll pass it when it comes.
I was extremely excited at the meeting when they had the bid. I think I was dancing around here because it has been a long time when we started this endeavor, and it was so fun. And because of that, I'm going to be giving my first pledge to the Park and Rec. I believe that Mark brought additional ones. So for any of the public that wishes to give, please do so. And I was thrilled that there were going to be potentially three ball fields, because that's key for what's going to be worth bringing in groups and bringing in revenue to help that field as well.
Mayor, before we take the vote to table, Travis and staff had asked us also to discuss ordering of the alternatives, and I just want to make sure that we have some time to do that. I'll start. I want to ask, would we be having that discussion before we take this vote?
It can help, at least if you could emphasize that, yes, you're all also on board with those three alternatives.
And that they'd be included.
Many already said that,
Okay.
all supportive of the third ball field. We've heard public comment tonight regarding other alternatives as well. So if council can support, that
Okay.
can also help the fundraising team that, hey, if we get enough money, $400,000 will get us that third ball field. If we can secure that, it gives everyone a target or something to shoot for.
Thanks for the clarification. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, so I think I did already indicate that I thought the third ball field, actually, I'll just say this. I really appreciate the recommendations that Parks and Rec Commission brought to us. I think that they put some good thought into it. I think they were advised well by city staff as well. I've heard, Harlan ask us to spend the next 2 weeks learning what we can and seeing what possible alternatives are out for some of the other alternates down the list. He asked us not to close our minds to the possibility that some of those other alternatives, he mentioned pickleball, but there are like 8 or 10 alternates. I think that's a reasonable request. And so over the next 2 weeks, this is an opportunity not just for our community to raise money, but also for us to learn about these alternates, what's involved in them, what the trade-offs would be, whether they're worth it or not. So I think it's a reasonable request, and I intend to do it. My initial instinct right now is Parks and Rec thought about this carefully. They came to us with a list of their prioritization of these options, and I think that I like their ordering. I think it makes sense for now, even though I'm committed to learning over the next 2 weeks if there's something I don't know right now.
Okay, roll call.
All right. Neil.
Aye. Sorry, aye, yeah. I'll say it after.
Olson.
Aye.
Misselinich.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Jizzle.
Aye.
Whittle.
Aye.
Parker.
Also, to sneak it in, I'm in favor of 1, 2, and 3. Aye.
That was what I actually was going to say. I was going to sneak in what Steve said, but I also, if there are things I'm not seeing or should be seen, I would encourage folks to email me, please.
Okay. Thank you. Yippee. Okay, conduct public hearing on amendment to site lease with option for NEIT Properties LLC. No action recorded.
All right, just waiting for the next wave of people to clear out. All right, so I'll get background on this, and I believe we've got an individual in attendance that will be speaking to this item.
Okay.
So public hearing again for this was set at July 7th meeting and required by Iowa Code for a city considering sale or entering into a long-term lease agreement for city-owned land, primarily with anything extended beyond 3 years. The proposed amendment to this lease agreement, which is already in place but set to expire within the next 5 years, would extend the existing lease held with Northeast Iowa Telephone for another 30 years. This is an initial 5-year term and the option to renew for 5 additional 5-year terms. Each term has an annual rent increase of 10%. This is essentially the same land area, but we are modifying the footprint based on the existing conditions of it. So there is a fence actually that's been placed that is actually within the current defined lease area, so we're going to modify the land layout once we've got a joint survey out there on their equipment needs and that fence up there. Current lease is $9,663.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to speak, come up and state your name and spell it, please.
Good evening. Steve Hansen, Northeast Iowa Telephone Company. Hansen is Hanson. I'm Chief Operating Officer, been with the company 17 years. At this point, the tower has been in place on city property for almost 25 years. It was built in 2001. Originally, it was built to provide coverage for Iowa Wireless and subsequently fixed wireless internet. Equipment was installed on the site for residents in the area. Since then, as our business has evolved, we now provide coverage for AT&T with our equipment through a subsidiary, and we still operate fixed wireless internet on that site. With the nature of these networks, investing in electronics as technologies are upgraded, you're investing $200,000–300,000 at a time. So long-term certainty is very important. With 5 years remaining on the lease, that may sound like plenty of time, but when upgrades are made, you need to know that you can keep those electronics in place longer. Just in terms of the lease rate, you know, this is our highest lease rate for the smallest amount of ground space. We're not asking for more ground space or a reduction in rent. We just like to continue the agreement as it is for another 25 additional years.
And so I'll point out this is simply the public hearing. Planning and zoning has to make recommendation on that. They will do so at their next meeting, and then this will be on the council agenda for August 18th consideration.
Can I just ask a clarifying question about the terms of the lease? It says, when it says an annual rent increase of 10%, that means a 10% increase every 5 years in the annual rent? Is that
correct?
It's hard to say that well. I just want to make sure I understand. Every 5 years, the annual rent goes up 10%. Is that
correct? With every term renewal, the annual rent goes up 10%.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Discussion and possible action on public artwork proposals from Pete Teacup.
Just for point of order, Mayor, assume you're closing the public hearing.
Oh, sorry, thank you. I'm closing the public hearing.
Thank you. All right. Discussion.
Moving on to number 8. Okay, do you want to give some background on that?
Number 9.
Let's see. It's so
I threw you off. It's my fault.
Okay, number 9.
So it was noted at the July 21st council meeting that Pete Teacup was interested in and has proposed some additional public artwork in Decorah that's now included in Dropbox. Council members did request this item be placed on the agenda for future discussion and to possibly approve the proposals. So it is phrased that way on the agenda as a discussion and possible action should the council want to give approval of some kind, even if it is just, yes, we're okay with the artwork concept in general. It's pretty open on this one.
Have you had public comment?
Not public comment. I know SMID has discussed public artwork. They've contributed to the sculpture over by Pulpit Rock Brewing there in Wayside Park. They discussed with, and actually I should note, they contributed to Pete's first project on the bridge. They financially covered the costs associated with that. And they talked about more. They're still discussing, and they meet again on Wednesday, but there had been some discussion on, do you open it up to other artists in the community, or is it just accept them as they come in? So there is conversation among SMID about more public artwork within their district as well.
I would like to express interest in more public art. I love communities that appreciate art and creativity, and I commend Pete for reaching out and getting the ball rolling on his artwork, and I love it, and I'm in support of more artwork from Pete. And I would like to just push for more public art. I think it benefits the community in a big way, so.
Just a question, would the total amount that he's talking about, does that come from SMID? Will that come from SMID funds then? Maybe Christopher can.
We're having a conversation
Okay.
in regards to that
Okay.
on Wednesday. I know just based on the conversations that I've had preliminary, it's a good chance that the funds will be approved again.
Okay.
To what Travis said, we at our last meeting, we're exploring other conversations in regards to other public art.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I know last time when we had this discussion, I believe we approved it, and then after that, we did the funding at SMID. So, and I know Kirsten had some conversations with Andy Nelson, and he seemed to be in favor of it as well. So,
Yeah, I did meet with.
Can you put your microphone down, please?
Sure. Yeah, I did talk to Andy. I ran into him at Nordic Fest and did mention to him that Pete had submitted another proposal for it. He seemed to be in favor of it, but obviously it has to be discussed at the SMID meeting on Wednesday, so I would imagine they'll approve it, but we'll have to see. In the Dropbox portion where Pete presented his pictures and the funds that he had, I did meet with Pete. We went down there and looked at it. If you see on the bottom picture he's got included there where the bank of blue water, there's rocks that have been piled up there, and then there's concrete poured on top of it. In Pete's vision, he saw that looked like rippling water, like coming down through a current on the river, just like we see all the time. And he wanted to carry that up into the mural on the wall itself there, the rippling waters, and then have an adult goose with its goslings floating along behind it, so it looked just like what the river had. And then, of course, on the big one that would be on the north side of the bike trail there, that would be a history of biking. He would include, maybe 50 or 100 bicycles from the beginning of time when bicycles were first invented, tracing the history of bicycles all the way up to the present time, which I thought was a perfectly appropriate thing for that bike trail. And I would second Cody's idea that, some of the artwork we have on some of the buildings that we have around our city are really nice to see and enjoyable to look at. And I would encourage more of that stuff. So if SMID is on board with trying to fund some of that, that'd be great. And I think this is a perfect project to get this thing started.
I really do want to thank SMID for their initial funding and their willingness to think about public art, the one that they put in Mary Christopher Park, and just that I know that they've been really moving ahead with this, and I really want to reach out and express my thanks to them. So if you don't mind carrying that forward to SMID. I'm fully on board with Pete continuing his art in this location, and would say that after we hear back from SMID in terms of funding, we could take action at that time. But I am in support of this area for Pete. Yeah.
It's interesting, it says action possible, so.
Yeah. I think last time we took action as a council beforehand, and then it went to SMID for the approval of funding. Is that right?
There was a little bit more meat to the proposal, we'll call it. There were renderings on what the pictures looked like that council approved the overall concept based on those renderings, and then SMID did approve the payment portion. So it's possible here that you could approve just given permission to go ahead and do it. You could approve permission to do it along with paying for it, or you can table and simply, as Emily had said, state if you're supportive or not of the overall concept and willing to take action afterwards after maybe a little bit more information.
I know Pete is anxious to get going on the project, so I think the sooner that we can approve it, the better.
would we be willing to? Can we approve it pending contingency on funding from SMID?
Sure, I would.
Yep. Do you want to make that motion?
You can as part of the motion.
Okay, yeah, no, I would make the motion to approve the agenda item contingency based on funding from SMID.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Lineage, seconded by Olson. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Zittergren?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Whittle?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Motion carried. Discussion on city code, section 10.52.170, using streets for storage. This is for discussion only, and could you give background on that, please?
So at the July 7th council meeting, there was discussion on our existing code section related to street storage, as it related to a particular complaint that several council members had received regarding trailers parked in the Bruning addition. So after that discussion, it was asked that staff prepare an option for council to consider. John has drafted an ordinance that would still allow unattached trailers to be parked on city streets, but require them to use wheel chocks. The draft ordinance also addresses the definition of a vehicle as it relates to on-street storage and adding a trailer definition as well. Both would still be subject to 48-hour parking restrictions and does also have a distance as well, right, John? Don't you have a distance in there? Or, never mind. I'm making that one up. It's not my background notes, but I was second guessing myself. I know we talked about trying to identify 200 feet difference, and then we talked about, well, the enforcement of that is going to be extremely difficult.
Can, are there permits available? So I wasn't clear in this ordinance if, so say for instance, a contractor is working on a house, would that mean they could not leave their trailer in the street under this ordinance, or could they get a special permit to do so?
Under the current one, or excuse me, well, actually the current one, they can pull a right-of-way work permit or a right-of-way obstruction permit and do that. We would still allow it under this same ordinance as well. But absent that, they're still under the same requirements, 48 hours it can sit there, and then you gotta move it.
Okay, so if they had a construction permit, though, they would be able to do this?
Yes, and then they'd have to have a valid building permit, and then we require what's called a right-of-way obstruction permit. If they're gonna put that, a dumpster, something associated with the project, they can pull a permit for that.
Okay. If a, now that you said dumpster, if a resident wanted to put a dumpster in the street as they remodeled or did something, they could do that as well, they just need to get a permit?
Correct.
So if I read this new ordinance properly, the real change that we're making is the fact they have put chocks by their tires
That's
on
the,
a trailer, right?
along with beefing up the definitions of
Right,
vehicle
right.
and trailer. Yeah, really the only change here is park trailer needs to have wheel chocks.
So they could get around this by moving it 10 feet and re-putting the shocks back up? Okay.
Yep.
That's kind of what I thought.
Okay, could you tell me what a wheel chock is? I'm sorry.
The wedge that keeps us away.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
I think this is a decent way to clean up our current ordinance and sort of ensure that it's got things in there for safety and the language is clearer and less arbitrary. So I actually think this is an improvement over our current code, and I'm glad for it, and I hope that, you know, this is a good starting point, and I think it's not a bad finishing point. Just appreciate that this cleans up our current code and includes a requirement for chocks. I feel like in our last discussion, we had discussed other possibilities, you know, coming up with ways to limit the amount of trailers that are parked on our street. Obviously, the presenting issue up in Bruning is something that's on our minds. And at the same time, I think we discussed many unintended consequences that could result from, you know, a well-intentioned effort to limit dangerous or obstructive trailer parking. We could do this, a different ordinance intending that, and then make life harder for a lot of people in our community who maybe just want to park their utility trailer out in front of their house for a day while they move cars around or host guests or whatever. So I think this is an improvement. I think that I welcome the, you know, the safety improvements. I welcome the definition changes, and it does make things better, and that's a big part of our job. So I like the ordinance as is. If council is sort of set on this doesn't do enough, or we need to do, you know, different things to address Bruning, I hope you all remember that the majority of people in our community who use trailers and sometimes park them on the streets are people trying to get kayaks in the river, trying to get garbage to the dump, trying to get leaf waste to the leaf waste site. And I hope that we don't pass a law targeting one small issue that ends up creating a lot of issues for a lot of people. So I like this ordinance and I appreciate it.
I mean, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, I mean, I agree with Steve. I think this is a good ordinance. It cleans up what we currently do. And I do think the unintended consequences of other ordinances kind of reminds me of the noise ordinance that we tried to pass, where it was like, we're trying to deal with a bad apple, and we might wind up hurting, you know, everyone who's trying to do the right thing most of the time. Just as a public service announcement, right? There's no substitute for being a good neighbor and for being able to talk to your neighbor and hear in the ways in which you might be hampering their success in another way. So I'm in support of this. I don't see us moving beyond it, given that everything we came up with last time seems to have some unintended consequences.
No, I guess I would agree with it as well. I think staff did a good job of looking at how to address this. I think the chocks being put by the rear wheels addresses it from a safety standpoint. Certainly it will prohibit that trailer from rolling away. I mean, if somebody wants to play games and move it 10 feet and re-put the chocks in, I guess you're really hard pressed to prevent that, but I think this is a step in the right direction, trying to get to a good spot, so I agree with it.
So the potential direction would be to firm it up and bring it back to the council?
If there's firming. So far, I've only heard general agreement.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we just put it on the next agenda as a first reading.
Okay.
And I think it may be that this doesn't solve all of our problems. And if it doesn't, I just want to remind us that we can come back to this and try again, or we can come up with a new thing to try. But this is a little change that calls attention to the issue, and this is good leadership, I think. So thanks.
Okay. We have 2 vacancies on the Decorah Human Rights Commission. Any other matters?
I'll just make sure
Yeah.
everyone, sorry.
No, go ahead. I have one. Go ahead.
I was just gonna make sure everyone has on their calendar adjusted the first meeting in September is going to be on the 2nd. So
Okay.
just make sure everyone has that on their calendar.
Do we have something already scheduled for our August work session?
Do not.
I'm just curious where we would sit. I know we're doing library tours. Thank you, Kristen, for arranging those. But would it be possible to think about that work session as a bond discussion for November?
So we were actually, from a staff perspective, the August 18th meeting was going to include conversation about all of that, all of the
Okay.
bond issuance. I think if we try and do it as a work session,
No, that's fine.
we'd be pressed for time, because we do have to have an actionable item in September.
That's great. I just wanted to make sure that was on the radar, so that's
Yep.
all. Yep, great. Even better than my idea.
Okay. Okay. Any other? Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.